Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. For the past couple of weeks, we have been live streaming Tyranny, and I am far enough into the game that I feel comfortable sharing some of my thoughts. Please note this is not a full review as I haven't finished the game yet. It's just some of my first impressions and general thoughts regarding the game. In case you're new to the channel, here at Slander Gaming, we cover CRPGs, just like Tyranny. So if that kind of content interests you, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more amazing content. In most games, you play as the hero, and maybe it gives you the option to play as the villain. Tyranny absolutely turns that around. No matter what, you start off as the villain, the tyrant, the aggressor, and then if you so choose, you could try to slowly win back people's hearts and become the hero of the story. You play as a fate binder, which means you work for Kairos, an absolute tyrant who is spreading his or her influence all across the land. The game starts with Kairos choosing to invade an area called the Tiers, and the Tiersmen, who have become used to independence, are trying to fight back. One of the most fascinating things about Tyranny is its intro, which is absolutely incredible, and I haven't seen any other game do it quite like this, and I really think they should, because the way the intro is set up makes the rest of the game so engaging. The intro is long, it probably takes around 20 minutes, and it's basically the story of how Kairos' forces invaded the Tiers, and you are a central figure in that story. The invasion occurs over 3 years, and in each one of those years, you're going to be presented with multiple text-based options, and you'll decide how some of the pivotal moments in the campaign are handled. Now keep in mind, when you're making these decisions, the only information you have is a cutscene that introduces and sets up the story, character creation, which gives you a little bit of information, and then in the text of these decisions, some of the different organizations are tagged and you can read the description of them. But otherwise, you just got to go with your gut and make the decisions that seem best to you. There's a lot of replayability in this section. Choosing some things will lock off other things that you could potentially do. So just within the intro, there's 3 or 4 different playthroughs you could potentially have. The decisions you make in the intro have reactivity throughout the rest of your playthrough. So unlike other games that sprinkle in really important decisions throughout your campaign and then may or may not show the consequences, Tyranny takes the bulk of the major decisions you make and they put it right up front at the very beginning. And then essentially you spend the rest of the game experiencing the ramifications of the things that you have done. I am a huge fan of post-game expansions. I love it when you give me a 60, 80, 100-hour story, give me an incredible ending, and then on top of that, give me an expansion that lets me really experience how my decisions affected the world and affected people that I care about. Tyranny does that right in the base game. You walk around everywhere with people knowing who you are, knowing the things that you have done, already forming some of their opinions about you, whether they be good or bad, and it's because of things that you had a direct hand in. Unlike some other games where it makes you the chosen one, but it's because of things that the player hasn't really directly experienced, so it doesn't feel as real. Incredible storytelling. Really pulls you into the game world, and again, I wish more games would take this tactic. Part of the reason it works so well is because Tyranny has amazing lore and amazing world building. There are several different organizations operating in this space. They all have charismatic leadership. They all have long histories that really inform what kind of culture each organization has. And there's a large cast of NPCs who will really help to flesh out what's happening in this world and your role in it. Just great stuff. Another thing that makes Tyranny so much fun is its villains. This game has a huge cast of characters that can potentially be your villains depending upon the choices you make in the intro of the game and in your actual campaign. And a lot of them are so much fun to talk with. The lawful evil, stern, graven ass, the fun and absolutely chaotic voices of Narat, the mysterious Tanan. These characters are all really cool, not just from a dialogue standpoint, but also their voice acting is absolutely on point, and their visual design. The art of this game is outstanding and really pulls you into a lot of the different scenes. This game also has probably the best magic system I have ever experienced. There are a ton of ways to customize the different spells that you get. Even characters who are not spellcasters can raise their lore skill and allow them to at least cast low-level spells so they can buff themselves or heal themselves. Very, very useful. It is constantly fun to play around with it, put together different combinations, and figure out what works for your group. Again, this is something I really haven't seen another RPG taking advantage of. Somebody should absolutely just be stealing this system and putting it in their game because it's so much fun to use. The party members are really, really great. Most of them come from different groups that are established in the game world, so they serve as a window into more of Tyranny's lore, and even their own personal backstories. Really interesting, the experience. This is a very cruel world. It's a world where most of these people were abused in some sort of way. They were taken from their families. This life of doing everything in their power to expand Kairos' rule is the only life they have ever known. It's fascinating to listen to them talk through it, and the party members are just a lot of fun. The last thing that I'll mention that I really like about this game is that it's got a great sense of humor. There are multiple times when I laughed out loud during a dialogue, even if the characters themselves were deadly serious. I think that's nice in a game that has so much despair and presents such a bleak world. You're actually smiling pretty much all the time. There are some really, really laugh out loud moments in this game. Now, of course, there are some aspects of this game that I dislike. Tyranny was a rushed project, unfortunately, and so there are definitely some aspects of this game that don't feel quite fleshed out, that are a little poorly explained. You can kind of tell this needed some more time in the oven. Some people have asked me about bugs. I haven't experienced any bugs as far as I know, at least, so it seems like the experience itself is smooth. It just doesn't quite feel complete, and I'll definitely get into more of that when we go through my review. More than probably any other game I've played, I really, really feel in Tyranny how much reading I have to do. Like, there's deep dialogue strings that go through several different levels, and I think we've done about maybe 7 live streams thus far, about 3 or 4 hours a piece. It feels like the vast majority of them I've been reading, with just small bouts of combat in between. You know, and it got to the point where even somebody like me, who's very comfortable reading games, Wrath of the Righteous, Game Deck, all that kind of stuff, it's no problem with me. Even I felt it sometimes like, man, this sure is a lot of stuff that I have to read through. There is some voice acting, but it's very, very sporadic. It's not consistent at all. And so, yeah, if reading is going to be a problem for you, unfortunately, Tyranny might be a harder game for you to get into. There have also been a few times in combat where I wish the law gave me more details, but I'm probably spoiled. Of course, I've played games like Rogue Trader, Baldur's Gate 3, and even Wrath of the Righteous. And so those laws, when you open them up, really gives you a lot of details about what's going on. Whereas in Tyranny, I kind of feel like it just gives you some general details about what's happening in combat. And I'm not always really sure why certain things aren't going my way, or to be frank, why certain things are going my way. So that can be a tad bit frustrating as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is I don't like that this game only allows you to have 4 party members. I'm a big fan of larger party sizes, especially in CRPGs. This game is clearly in the vein of Baldur's Gate, Pillars of Eternity, other things that they've done. Just give me my full 5 party members, or frankly even 6. If you can handle it, don't do the okie doke and just give me 4. I can't stand that. I can't stand it in Baldur's Gate 3 either, to be honest with you. I'm just that kind of player. The more party members, the better, and I definitely feel like Tyranny is the type of game that should give you more. Those are my overall thoughts on Tyranny. Again, I'm having a great time with the game thus far. Once I'm finished with it, I'll do a full review. But I can tell you right off the bat, this is a classic CRPG. Definitely one of the best in the genre. If you're a fan of the genre, Tyranny is unquestionably a game that you should be playing. More than likely, if you're a fan of this slice of gaming, then reading text doesn't really bother you. Since I'm live streaming, I have to literally read through all the text, but as a player, you can skip through things if it doesn't really interest you. So I would say you really shouldn't let that part stop you. There is so much to like about this game that really, even if you're not a fan of CRPGs, if you're just a fan of RPGs, Tyranny is a great game to experience because in so many different ways, it's unique. There's really nothing else on the market quite like it. Anyway, that's my video. Leave your comments down below. Looking forward to the feedback, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.